All right, y'all boys, we back with another video. So today we're actually going to be talking about something that's coming to global. And honestly, it's kind of a surprise that this actually did come to global itself rather than being a thing on JP first. And it's kind of something that I've been pushing for, I guess you could say, for maybe like ever since like the tower came out on JP, maybe a couple months after. The biggest issue, so this is going to be regarding global, right? Because this update is exclusively for global and not for JP. So obviously, I already know the biggest issue, at least the two biggest issues in the game, and one of them is lack of content, and the other is lack of currency, resources, right? And a lot of people get a little bit irritated by that. Now, I myself don't really care for the resources itself, but I know a lot of people do. So I'm completely aware when there's not enough resources being given out to players, or they feel discouraged because, oh, they get, like, they summon for a character and then they don't get him, and that's because they don't have a full pity. Now, Global's going to be having a new tower update. This is going to be covering kind of, it's gonna, I wouldn't even say it's going to fix the problem, but it's going to help alleviate the biggest issue with the game, and that's obviously the lack of resources. Anyways, let's just talk about what they're bringing out, and I'll kind of go more into depth on my thoughts on it and how it is, etc. Because I do have a couple of things on my mind about it, especially considering, you know, this is something that I've been kind of wanting for a while, and people kind of, I guess you could say, thought I was crazy for wanting something like this. I believe one of the people that was telling about it, about them like bringing something similar to this, was Giku. I'm pretty sure I was talking to him about it, them needing to add some kind of, you know, game mode or feature or something that has kind of replayability that also brings resources in. And I think one of the biggest things that I kind of compared it to was Epic 7. So Epic 7 has like this tower mode thing, right? And I'm pretty sure it resets. So that's kind of where I was thinking of the idea. Well, we already have kind of a tower on global and on JP, so why don't they just kind of make one that you can kind of do over and over, and then just kind of cycle between different mobs? And just based off of the information that we have here, I mean, I can already assume that, yeah, that's exactly what we're going to be getting, and that's exactly what I wanted. Literally bar for bar, word for word, all of that is exactly what I wanted. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, but I don't want to do like 30-40 stages. I did mention, okay, well, what if they kind of just make it into like 5 to 10 stages, and then you would only have to do them every month or something like that, right? And yeah, I mean, it's exactly how it is. Like, literally exactly how I wanted it is exactly how it is. So I'm literally, for me, I'm ecstatic about it, because I'm happy that they're going to add something like this, because I still feel like, you know, people are going to always complain that there's not going to be anything to do. And even though this isn't going to alleviate a large amount of, you know, lack of content, it will alleviate at least a little bit of the lack of currency, you could say. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is the amount that we're going to be receiving regarding the actual tower. Now, I still think, in my opinion, I think 1,500 cubes is still very little. Very little. I'm assuming this is probably going to be 5 to 10 stages. There's no way that they make it any more than that, right? It has to be. Like, if it was more than that for only 1,500 cubes, I don't know if people would actually want to play it. Now, there's going to be conditions to unlocking this, so you can't just start the game and just start doing this limited shit or anything. You have to fulfill the conditions, and that condition is going to be beating floor 40. If you've been a player for quite some time, floor 40 shouldn't really be that big of a deal. That should be relatively easy by now. I'd say if you're kind of a new player, it should take you like about a month or two, depending on who you have on your account. It could even take up to 3 if you're kind of really bad and unlucky. But yeah, obviously we're going to be having the global tower, and it's kind of crazy that we're going to be having this. But again, 1,500 cubes overall in the grand scheme of things really isn't that much, especially considering the fact that this is going to be resetting monthly. I think they should kind of up the amount that we get out of this. Now, I'm not saying get a crazy amount and then just make it so that people don't have to spend on the game, because of course they want to have players spend on the game. So I'm thinking maybe they can kind of amp up the rewards to at least be maybe 3,000 to maybe 5,000 cubes. Obviously, if you kind of factor in also what you'll be getting from the other banner, and excuse me, not other banners, but the other events, and obviously logging in daily, I'd still think that this would kind of still take you a couple months, 3 months ish, to still kind of build up pity regardless, even with this update. So I don't really think it's a bad thing to have it at, and I'm talking about if it was, you know, if it was at 5,000, you know, cubes, if we were to get that every month, I still feel like that's not going to be like a big game changer, but it's still going to be, you know, enough that people can kind of feel it. So I feel like they should up the cube amount. 1,500 is practically nothing. That's half a multi, and it resets monthly. That's 30 days. 30 days just to get 1,500 cubes is not really that much. So yes, we're going to have some kind of a content that's going to be replayable, but only every month. But the cubes itself, I don't know if it's going to be worth it, depending on the difficulty. I don't know if it's going to be worth for a lot of players who are just playing casually to actually want to invest their time to beat the 5 stages to get this 1,500 gems, because it really isn't that much. It literally isn't. I think they need to up this amount to at least 3,000 or 5,000, right, for people to actually feel the incentive to actually play it and for the cubes. Now, obviously, I don't want to make it a chore and then make it so that people are like, oh, I have to do tower and, you know, get those 5,000 cubes. But I feel like, you know, people would have something to do in the game because, I mean, you're not doing anything else anyways. So who the fuck cares? One thing I wanted to talk about was clearly that one specific moment where we were asking questions, and one of the questions that arose is, what do we plan to do with global, and is there any way that they can do things differently than on JP? Because they basically did confirm that they copy, if anything JP gets, that we're gonna get. And they said if JP doesn't have it, then we're very unlikely to get it. And it's kind of weird that they said this. I myself, I was like, yeah, that's total bullshit. Like, yeah, don't give me that shit, bro. Obviously, they said that they weren't going to kind of be diverging, right? Because they said they'll never diverge, essentially, right? That they'll never diverge from how JP does things, and they'll kind of follow everything that JP does. The only thing that will be different is the intervals. I only took that with a grain of salt just because the person telling me doesn't actually work for the team. So even though they get relayed the information, it's not like they have the utmost accuracy. Things can change at a whim from anybody in the team. It's just that simple. If they need to make a change to make money, they will do it. That is the easiest and biggest motivator of any type of company. If they want to make money, they will change something, and if they change something, they'll add it. It doesn't matter if something else has it and you don't, or if they don't have it and you want it but they don't give it to you because they don't have it. It does not matter. At the end of the day, when they see the revenue and they know that it's not making enough money, they are going to make changes to you know, obviously make sure that we can, you know, keep the game up and have the player retention that we need. So it's kind of weird to me, at least, that they did, you know, kind of outright said that when I myself already knew that that's not the case for some games, even though that's kind of like the standard to kind of follow the version that's already been out previously. There's so many games out there that literally deviate from, of course, the JP version or Chinese version or whatever version that came out first. They do it in a lot of games. Like, I've been playing gacha games for like how many years? Like 15 years, bro. 15 fucking years, something like that, right? I'm hoping it's gonna be like, I'm hoping that they're actually listening to the player base, because I still have some ideas myself. Obviously not this one, because this definitely was my idea. I 100% had this idea, bro. They stole this shit from me. On fucking God, there's no way they came up with this shit. I did. I mentioned it like 30 billion times because I would not let it go. But yeah, I do hope that they have some, you know, other options or things that they already have in mind to add to the game, seeing as they're already kind of like, you know, bringing their own kind of like creativity into it. I say own, but seeing as they're trying to kind of be a little bit creative and bring some new things to the players. So I'm hoping that they kind of have another thing lined up so they could bring more to the game so it doesn't feel so bare bones. I myself, I have a ton of ideas that I feel like they could implement into the game, so, you know, the game is more enjoyable. I've played so many gacha games. I feel like I've already seen so many different types of, I guess you could say, directives of each game and how they managed it and what kind of things they brought to the game and how players reacted to a lot of that content. So I feel like I have a lot of ideas that they definitely could be you know, kind of like look into and maybe, you know, build upon it and kind of create their own original work out of it or something like that, you know. I feel like they should just talk more to the community, and if they talk more to the community, they can kind of get like a better gauge on what people actually want for the game. But this is a good start. We're going to be able to have some kind of replayability, some content with some replayability, even though it's only once a month. You know, which is quite a long time. And even if it's only a little bit amount of cubes, at least there's something there and they're working towards it. Surely they'll make some changes and kind of tweak it a little bit to make it more enjoyable for players, because I feel like maybe after a couple months people will probably be tired of this. They're like, yeah, it's not really worth the effort to, you know, just get 1,500 cubes. Unless you're a veteran, then they're probably the only people who care. Obviously those are the ones that are more likely to stay with the game, but obviously you have to make it enjoyable for all the players, new and veterans alike. But yeah, I know I dragged this on long enough. I just wanted to kind of give my whole overall, you know, thorough opinion on this matter. Yeah, look at Giku. We are eating. I swear he definitely did not like this idea when I did mention it the first time. He kept like throwing out other things, but it's a good thing that he you know, this is something we got to do, so it's not even like it's a bad thing. Just hope it's not ridiculous hard for, you know, like floor 480 plus. Floor 90. Nah, people think it's going to be difficult. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. I don't think it's going to be that difficult, but I definitely do think it is going to have some kind of like, you know, challenge to it, but just not too crazy. I think it's going to be kind of like one of the events, like maybe SP battle type difficulty, not too difficult, maybe like very hard, not extreme 2 type shit. But yeah, anyways, that's basically going to be the end of the video. I appreciate y'all boys for watching. You know, I just want them to bring more content to the game, so, you know, people don't feel bored. I think that's the biggest reason why, second biggest reason why people quit. The first one's obviously cubes. Anyways, yeah, I already rambled again. Fuck me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.